Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so if you're putting two and two together, you see Rui sitting out, you see D'Lo sitting out, and one could say, Rui has the hamstring, but I don't remember him hurting that hamstring. One could say D'Lo's got the tailbone injury, but that was a regular charge that he drew. Maybe he fell kind of hard. Maybe a professional knows how to fall and take some charges all the time. I don't know how to look at that other than to say those are the two matching contracts that can get you a lot of things going for yourself in regards to trade. And I think it's a good chance the Lakers maybe looking to trade both of those pieces, and they just so happen to not be healthy. Maybe we're trying to prevent them from not being injured by sitting them out and saying that they're injured now, with a deal possibly being in place to move them in one or multiple directions. But meanwhile, you look at the Zach LaVine situation, something similar. He's been out with the same foot injury for like 4 weeks. And one could argue he probably shouldn't be returning back to the Bulls at all. I think it's a good chance the Lakers probably pull the trigger on a deal for Zach LaVine. And I also think it's a decent chance the Lakers may pull a deal for Kyrie Irving if it comes about. I don't know that Kyrie Irving's necessarily on the block. It's a lot of Dallas fans are very happy to have Kyrie there. Very happy to have him there. And I don't look at him as a two-way guy for which the Lakers really need. But then again, Zach LaVine I don't see as a two-way guy either. But if you want to make LeBron James happy, you bring him the guy that he initially said he wanted in the first place, which is Kyrie Irving, the guy who helped him win a championship back in the Cleveland days, a guy who wants to be in Los Angeles, at least did very recently, and a guy whose contracts would very much easily match with Rui Hachimura and D'Angelo Russell. We've known that the whole time. So I know it's a lot of people in LA may not feel as comfortable bringing Kyrie in based on certain things, whatever, but as far as I can tell, there's not a good reason not to bring in Kyrie Irving right now. There's not a good reason. Now, whether or not Dallas should be willing to trade him, that's a whole other story. But from what I saw, there's a video going around where Kyrie Irving was looked off by Luka Doncic in a clutch situation a couple games ago. Kyrie has since came back and played very well in the games after that or whatever. So they've been fine after that, I guess. I don't know if I follow the team that closely, but that could be one tea leaf to look in the direction of maybe Luka Doncic would prefer the Lakers take on Kyrie Irving or whatever, however you want to perceive that. But I don't know how to look at that other than to say we could use Kyrie Irving's services right now. We really could. I don't know if he's the answer for these problems, but he certainly could help us with situations like yesterday where he comes away with like 25, 30 points, and we don't have some of the scoring issues that we had at all. So, I'm personally in a space where I just want the Lakers to acknowledge the timeline. As I said in my very long Laker rant that I made about 2 hours ago, we just got to acknowledge that we don't have time for any hesitation on making this team better. If it means making a coaching move, you make that move now. If it means making a roster move, you make that move now. You don't wait for nothing at all because we don't have the time. LeBron James could easily disappear on us, evaporate into thin air by signing with whatever team his son goes to or signing somewhere else, opting out of the contract that he has a right to do it this summer. Now, I don't think he's going to do that, but I also don't think our team can afford to let the team get worse when trying to assess whether or not he'll change his mind. So that's where I'm at with it. That Miami Heat loss was an incredible embarrassment. This man won 2 NBA championships with the Heat. That's his old coach over there. That's Pat Riley. It's a lot of pride there. And we let him get himself beat bad in a game where he looked bad himself as a player, but the team looked just as bad as he did. And Anthony Davis looked fantastic. And nobody's expecting Anthony to call for a trade. Nobody's expecting either one of those guys to demand a trade, but that ain't a good excuse not to make sure that the team around him is better than what we're looking at right now. Straight up. Just because you think you can take these guys for granted does not mean that your fans are going to be appreciative of that. Don't take us for granted. If you want to take Bron and AD for granted, don't take me for granted. I don't want my team to suck, especially when I got 2 Hall of Famers on it. Especially when I got the trade pieces to make things happen to make my team better. Make my team better, please. If that means bringing in Zach LaVine, I don't see how with his contract. I don't see that. If it means bringing in Kyrie Irving, I would definitely support that as a Kyrie fan, as somebody who believes his character is much higher than what it's been painted out to be, and somebody who knows his skill set can't be taught or duplicated pretty much by anybody at all. What he does can't be taught. What he does can't even hardly be understood when you consider some of the packages and his dribbling ability and his finishing ability. He's just better than everybody, basically. So what he does, he's better than everybody. So if you can find a way to get a player like that on this team, I think you shouldn't hesitate. If Dallas is willing to give you that player for 2 contracts, obviously that's something you need to be doing. So that's where I'm at with that. That's exactly where I'm at with that. I would rather have Kyrie Irving than Zach LaVine. I know Zach LaVine's younger, more athletic, but and neither one of them are overly reliable to stay healthy or on the floor. But for me, I'd rather not have Zach LaVine's contract, and that's kind of where I'm at with that. That is exactly where I'm at with that. I don't think DeJounte Murray is realistic. I don't. I think the Atlanta Hawks could make a move, but the leverage is all in their back pocket right now. And there's 2 words I have for that. Jalen Johnson is why. Jalen Johnson's playing like the next great small forward. And he was out with an injury for the last month or so, but before that he was playing great. And now he's come back and he's playing great. Because he's on their roster, you can argue that they should just keep everything just exactly the way it is. Because even, with their timeline versus ours, which is we got to win right now, they can afford to let this thing ride out for a couple more years. Let him develop to his best self. DeJounte Murray will barely be 30 by then. Trae Young will barely be 30 by then. I mean, they got a timeline that is young. So they don't have to make big moves. And because of it, they don't have to just undo what they have, which is what you may have thought about the Hawks about 2 weeks ago. But now that Jalen's playing like this over the last 3 games, the leverage is in their hands. They don't have to do nothing. And to be honest with you, they'd probably be better to keep what they have than to take what we have. So I don't see us getting DeJounte at all. Now, Jalen Johnson essentially ruined that in my mind. He ruined that. Just by playing as great as he did these last few games. So, I didn't think we had the greatest package for him in the first place, by the way. I really didn't. But it was a nice long shot that I thought was possible. But now, if I'm Atlanta, I'm not moving DeJounte right now. So this is one of them situations where it's like, look, man, I don't know that even Kyrie's on the board. I don't even know that Dallas is even looking to move Kyrie. Like I said, the fan base loves him. The Mavericks fans love him. So I don't know that Luka Doncic is loving playing with him or vice versa. I don't know if those styles mesh and that they can win a championship with those 2 styles. But all in all, I think we can use Kyrie's talent here, now, right now. I don't know that I'd win a championship per se with what we got going on, these problems, but maybe you move and get Kyrie and then you in a separate move do something else. I don't know, but I don't know that you can fix this, Laker fans. I'm not going to sit here and pretend. I don't know that you can fix this. Not with anything realistic. You got to get lucky. You need a Pau Gasol-like trade. And then on top of that, you need your coach to just get better like now. Like right now. You could bring in a Pau Gasol-like trade and still have the issues with Darvin Ham misusing these players, which is what we talked about for an hour today in our rant. So, do we want to make a move knowing that Darvin may not be the best person for any of these rosters? I don't know. But I know you don't sit back and do nothing with that on your mind either. So, yeah, man. I just want to come here and say that. I think that it's a good chance that we're sitting D'Lo and Rui with fake injuries to try to keep them healthy for a trade package that could be coming somewhere within the next couple of weeks, hopefully. I'm not overly in love with moving Rui, but he hasn't looked very good as of late. And on top of that, he's starting to show me that he might be injury prone on top of that. I can deal with one problem, but not the other. That's the thing. If he's still developing and all that's wonderful. I don't have no problem with him developing in our system. If he's going to be injury prone, that's something I can't deal with that. I have too many. We're relying too much upon what his piece represents for him to be in and out of the line. Every time I bump his head, he's out for 2 weeks. That's got to stop. That's got to stop. So that's why I would be willing to move Rui, man. I just need a more stable, sturdy piece with all the other instability stuff going on. And by the way, man, I love Cam Reddish. I love Vanderbilt, but I can move one of them. I can. One-way defensive players don't hold the same weight that they used to have when you see how Darvin's using them. Now, if you found a way to stagger them better and get the most out of them, bam, now we're doing great. But as far as guys that can't put the ball in the hoop but can defend, I don't have much use for that right now when we're not really stopping anybody any damn way. And we can't move Vanderbilt until the 15th, but the 15th is like 10 days away. I'm not looking to move Vanderbilt necessarily, but I'm also not as high on him as I used to be either. So I got to be honest about that. It's not even him, man. I know what he can do at his best. It's Darvin and how he's being used and how I need him to play better. And he's basically in the first week of the season for him because he missed preseason and all the damn season, thus up until like 3 weeks ago. So I know he's still trying to work his way into shape and all of these different things, and he's going to be better as soon as we move him. He's going to be great. But as long as he's in Darvin's system, I have a feeling we're not getting nothing out of him. Yeah, man, it's Darvin, bro. At the end of the day, I don't want to recap everything I've already said, but it's tough to continue to back Darvin on this channel, man. It's tough. I'm just going to be honest with you because I don't think we have time for him to work his natural progressions. Not with our timeline being as sensitive as it is. So we can make trades. Maybe that does a good thing. Like I said, when you get to the bottom line, Darvin has been to the Western Conference Finals. He's won the in-season tournament, but he's also had some things go wrong here, and he's looked really bad. His team has looked terrible in the process, and you have to wonder if he's going to be able to get you to that finish line this time. And if you can't afford to not, then you can't afford to have him, and that's what it really comes down to. If you believe that all of this is going to trickle down to him winning a championship, somehow you can stay on board with that, but you better not be wrong. Not with the timeline sensitivity. And that's what's on the forefront of my mind. In a perfect world, our timeline doesn't look like this. For some, maybe the solution is to move LeBron James so you don't have that timeline. LeBron may take that out of your hands, so you better appreciate him while he's here. Because if I'm him, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna stick around and let you make that decision for me. I made the man to trade, and you don't want that because that's gonna devalue him completely, and then you're gonna have a stalemate on your hands or something ugly. For which I know LeBron James' character ain't gonna force him to do, but his timeline may force him to have to make a real decision about how much that should matter. And so that's why I'm telling everybody, don't let it get to that. Don't let it get to that, man. If Braun wants something done, for the respect of his timeline, either do it or move him, man. That's basically where I'm at with that. Either do what he wants you to do, so that you can be at peace that you've done everything he wants you to do, or move him so that we don't lose him for nothing. That's what it is, man. That's what it is, and I hate having to come back around to that, but it's just gotten to a point where can we get him where he needs to go? Forget whether or not we want him in our uniform or whether or not he wants to be here. Can we get him where he needs to go? Which is to the finals. And if the answer is no, then it's not as simple as, oh, well, that's fine. It's not. That's not fine. Because he can leave and we don't have picks. And we don't. And I mean, it's a lot of stuff that doesn't look good if we let that value just dissipate into nothing. It's not as simple as saying, well, let's just see what happens. I wish it were. I really wish it were that simple. I would be fine if it were that simple. It's not like I'm kicking LeBron off of my team for anything other than necessity. It had to be absolute necessity. Unfortunately, that is exactly what this would be, especially if we're going to be in no man's land for the foreseeable future, waiting on coaches and players and all of this other stuff that has to hurry up and get good for him to be his best. You know, so that's my problem, man. I still got Anthony Davis to consider. How can I keep Anthony Davis in contention? How can I keep him healthy? How can I not wear him into the ground? These are all things that need to be answered by the LA Lakers. And so that's what I'm here to say, man. Maybe Zach LaVine is the exact perfect piece. The only reason why we probably haven't seen him play his best is because he's never been in this situation with this particular circumstance. Hey, that could be the case. But with $40 million attached to each and every year of his contract, I'm not trying to find out. I ain't trying to find out. If he's willing to restructure that, hey, we can get something going. But if that's going to be the price tag, that's too much of a risk for my intentions. No. Now, if he would Luka Don or Kyrie or you know what I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo on that contract, is different. But that's not what he's bringing to the table. So I'm not. Nah, I'm cool. So yeah, I mean, these are things that we're thinking about, man. I don't know if the Lakers want to expand that trade package to add some players that maybe they were intentionally intending to keep. But at this point, it's only about 2 or 3 people that I must have on this roster. 2 of them are superstars. And one of them's Austin. And even Austin, I would move for the right price at this point. That's how bad our team looks. So, you know what I mean? Nobody's safe, man. I'm sorry, nobody's safe. Because if I can't get good enough, then I probably have to trade Bron. So like I said, nobody's safe. You feel me? That's how I'm looking at it. Ain't gonna be no man's land. Either we are where we want to be and getting better, or we are restarting this process over. We starting over. And that is a long, grueling, and uncertain path. That, quite frankly, isn't the better path. If I'm being real with everybody. Rebuilding is not the better path. Doing what you need to do to make sure that this timeline is respected is the better path. So you best believe I trade everything here before I move Bron, because moving Bron means starting over. And I don't want to start over. If I was going to do that, I should have did that 2 years ago when Wemby was on the way. So that's where I'm at with that, man. Ain't no Wemby coming. Not to where I'm seeing. Ain't no Wembys next year or the year after that. So if we're not trying to position ourselves to get the next great super duper, then letting go of the yesterday's super duper guy who's still playing like that is a bad decision. It's a very bad decision. So that's what I'm saying, man. Get some moves going, Lakers. Do what you got to do, Rob Pelinka. I don't know what that is. I don't assume to be a savant in this area. I don't know what to do. But I can tell you this. That's what we hire you for, man. If Darvin Ham needs to go, do it today. Don't wait. If he needs to stay, then commit to that and get him the players that he needs. Then Darvin needs to do better, or we're gonna keep on being unhappy with him. But I'm on. This is how I felt about Frank Vogel when I became aware that we couldn't win with him. I was telling people to get rid of him to save the year, and they didn't, and we ended up being trash that year, and that was it. This is exactly where we are now. We've turned the corner on the 2024. It's now January 4th, 2024, and I'm telling you, I don't know that what we have right now is any better than 500. So, Lakers, if you're gonna take my advice, you're gonna do everything you can to keep from being in that space for any longer. That's pretty much it. Video 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.